Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a watercolor painting process video. I was painting on Sunday and I thought, you know what, why not record it for you guys and do a little time-lapse process video. So I busted out my watercolors, my very dusty inks, and just kind of, had the whole shebang, the whole squad together, including my little, fold out Faber-Castell cup, which I love a lot. And while I paint today, I put up a little poll on my Instagram stories asking what voiceover topic you'd want me to address in today's video. And I got a lot of stuff about quarantine and coronavirus and stuff like that. But I don't really have that much to say about the whole situation that, other people haven't said already. So I thought I'd actually keep it a little bit positive and chill, and I'd do a little voiceover on things that I've learned about watercolors over the years. Now, I've been painting with watercolors not for that long. I am in no regards a professional, or I'm not exactly entirely sure what I'm doing, but I thought I'd share with you some tips and tricks and things that I've learned along the way from using watercolors over the years. So while I sketch out this drawing here, by the way, I'm using my Faber-Castell 0.7 millimeter mechanical pencil, which I love so much. It's got a little rotation retractable eraser at the top, which I love. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing that I jotted down was that watercolors have kind of taught me to be patient with my art. I've always been someone that's very rushed to get things done. I'm always very fast at doing things because I always want them to get done really quick. Just very anxious about getting to the final step, the final bit of whatever it is. And I feel like watercolors have really helped me take a step back from that, because it is a very slow medium, because you have to, let layers dry and paint them over, and it allows you to kind of look at your art in stages for longer, if that makes any sense. It also taught me to be patient about the rougher and quote-unquote bad stages of your art. So with watercolors, with washes, and it depends on how you use watercolors as well, by the way, but the way that I use them is that it will look quote unquote bad and flat for quite a while before it starts coming together as a piece, and it starts looking the way that you had envisioned it in your mind. And I really enjoy that about watercolors, because it keeps me, in the planning stage for longer. And it makes me not rush to whatever I had in my mind immediately. And that's a good thing. I've always wanted to, get better at the whole thumbnailing things and planning better and, experimenting along the way. And watercolors help me do that. Yeah, it's about building up color and layers with watercolors normally, because they are very light medium, especially if you use them on the wetter side. I know some people, it depends on how you use watercolors. The way that I've learned to love to use them is using them, on the wetter side. And that means that the colors are less opaque when you put them down, which means it's more about buildup of color in layers rather than putting down the final color the first time you do it, which is a very different approach to painting than to when I used to paint a lot with acrylics. That was the first medium that I learned to paint in, and that was very much the third coat of paint was the final one. It was kind of how I used to paint. And with watercolors, it's really not like that. I normally go through 20 something layers, 20 something stages until I actually like the color that is coming through. And apparently that's very normal. Because of that, again, it brings me back to teaching me to be patient with my art, that, at layer 5, it's probably still going to look really flat and, very unsaturated and whatever. But if you just stick with it, stick with your art, trust the medium, it will get to where you want it to get. And yeah, even though it might be a little longer of a process with watercolors, I still think it's the most relaxing medium for me to paint in, which is why I chose watercolors for this Sunday painting. I've been working on a really big project over the past few weeks that you guys will get to see very soon, but I can't say what it is yet. But yeah, so Monday to Friday I've been working a lot, very hard. And on Sunday, I just kind of wanted to sit down and relax a little bit. So that's why I pulled out my watercolors. They help me relax a lot because they are a very light medium. So I don't feel stressed when I'm painting with them that I'm gonna, put down the wrong color and then it's just gonna stay there and I won't be able to work around it. So because they are such a light medium and the colors aren't very opaque, I don't feel pressure to, do it all perfectly. And, I can always go back and change things. And I quite like that about watercolors. They're very relaxing. And also because there's a lot of downtime of waiting for the watercolor layers to dry. And for me, that's very relaxing. It forces me to take breaks. And it's just not a very intense activity, I think. I normally have a podcast on and I just enjoy my day and it's really nice. Side note, this is just me putting down a layer of masking fluid on all the little leaves and petals and stuff that are flowing across the painting. I currently am using the Mask Pen UK Original 0.8 millimeter nylon nib. It has a fine point applicator, and it's I saw it that Hey Kala on Instagram recommends this product, so I got it a few weeks ago, and I really, 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 really enjoy it a lot. It's probably one of the best masking fluids I've used to date. I had nothing bad to say about it. So back to the topic of today. Yeah, in terms of, having to wait for the layers to dry and everything, I like that aspect of it because normally I get so sucked into a drawing that I forget to look at the big picture and just to, remind myself why I'm doing art is to relax, because for me, art is very, very, very big therapy. Sometimes when I'm doing a big watercolor, not a big watercolor, a big acrylic painting, I get so sucked into getting it finished and, getting it ready to post on the social media and whatever. I forget about the process along the way, which is, seeing it come together. And I've come to appreciate the process of painting rather than just painting for the finished product, if that makes any sense. I've learned to appreciate the journey of getting there. As corny as that may sound, it is true. I just feel with watercolors, it's so light and so fresh and breezy. And whenever I paint with watercolors, I just love the amount of movement and softness the paintings come out with. I just really love the look that it gives because it's so, natural, because it's the water flow that makes the colors blend, and I don't know, I just find it very beautiful, and I've come to love that a lot. And it's also come to help me with my perfectionism, because I'm used to being very nitpicky with fine lines and whatever, but with watercolors I just kind of like to let go and let the water kind of do its thing, especially with background washes. I just like to put on some water and then just dab some colors in there and just see what it does and just let it go with the flow, and that's really helped me with the way that I do art in other mediums, because I've learned to just kind of be a little bit less perfectionist with laying down colors and stuff. And so as you can see here, I was just laying down the first washes of the colors, just laying down the base colors, and I just kind of became a lot less very intense about what I do, where I lay down colors. I become a lot more free, and I just it's just a good time, And I feel nowadays, especially during the time that we're going through right now, the more you can have of a good time, the better. And this Sunday definitely was a good time. So the next point that I have is actually something that I've been doing very recently that I thought I'd share, which is doing sort of overlays. So if you do a lot of digital art, you'll know what an overlay is. It's when you add a layer on top of your drawing with a color and then set it to an overlay. It kind of casts a colorful shadow onto your drawing, and I've been learning that you can kind of do that with watercolors, and I've been really enjoying that. Mainly I've seen Mateusz Urbaniewicz. I butcher that name, but I'll link him in the description. He's an artist that I've been following for years. He's a master of watercolors, and he does this a lot in his paintings. Hey Kala also does a lot of this in her artwork, which I really love, which is after you've laid down the colors, at the end, they normally using inks mostly, because they're a lot more saturated. They go over with like a wash of like a blue or a purpley color, and as I'm doing here, as you can see in the shadows, I tried to do it a bit lightly. I did it a lot more in the hair with purples, but it kind of adds like a different hue to the shadows, and I really love doing that with my digital art. So when I tried to implement that into my traditional art, it was just really, really fun, and I enjoyed the look that it gives. It just kind of adds like a more magical feel to your artwork, and I just really love doing it. So yeah, I learned that I can do that with watercolors. First of all, you have to be sure that the layers underneath are completely dry before you add the colorful layer on top. If you don't like it, you can always go back over it once the layers are dry and just add another color back onto it. It's just like, be free, try different things, but I really enjoy doing it, even if it's super subtle. The next point I had here was masking fluid and tape. I already mentioned what masking fluid I really like, but yeah, I've been recently trying to get better at using masking fluid, because I've only actually gotten into masking fluid like a year or two ago. Before that, I'd never used masking fluid, and now it's kind of like become a game changer, just because again, trying to be more free with my art and less like perfectionist. With masking fluid, I feel like I can do that because I'm not worried about going over the lines and messing up the objects that were meant to be in the foreground. And with masking fluid, I feel like I'm allowed to do that with much more ease. And so again, I'll obviously be linking all the materials that I used in the description box as per usual. In terms of masking tape, I've had trouble with this forever, with finding a good masking tape that still, creates a sharp edge on my paintings but doesn't rip up the paper. And I feel like washi tapes are probably one of the best things that I've used. So I have a lot of washi tapes, but I also have like a collection of washi tapes that I don't really care that much for. Normally, like the odd one out in a pack that you've gotten, maybe use that, because I feel like they're still sticky enough that they won't get ruined by the water, but they don't rip up the paper when you remove it. So what I normally do is put the washi tape on anything that is touching the paper, but then to stick it to the desk, I will then use masking tape on the edges just to really stick it onto the desk properly. And that I've come to realize is like one of the best things that I can do. If you have any suggestions for anything masking tape related, let me know. I would love to hear what you do in terms of that. And this kind of leads me on to watercolor paper. Now, I found recently, in the past few years, that my favorite watercolor paper is Daler Rowney. They are probably one of my favorite watercolor paper manufacturers. I've tried other honorable mentions are Etcher. They have really, really good watercolor sketchbooks in different sizes. They're friends of the channel, and I really, really enjoy their products. Again, I will link all these people down in the description box, and those are probably my favorite watercolor brands, I think. I love Daler Rowney for like pieces like this where I can just take a piece of paper out and create like an artwork, but I love the Etcher sketchbooks for on-the-go watercolors and stuff like that. They've got really good paper, and it's not super heavy duty, if that makes any sense. So I've come to realize in the past few years that I prefer rough pressed paper, and I'll tell you why. But basically, whenever I've painted on hot press paper, I feel like the colors almost slide around on the paper, and regardless of the GSM or the weight of the paper, I always feel like hot press paper for me just doesn't work with the way that I use watercolors the best. Because I use a lot of water in my watercolor process, so I do prefer the rough pressed. It also gives like a really, really nice texture to the painting. That's just obviously a personal preference, but I do prefer the roughness, the rough texture. It just I like to be able to see the texture of the paper when I look at it. So that's kind of what I realized I prefer. But I have heard that people prefer hot press because it creates like better flat washes, which is true. The hot press is the best for like a nice flat wash. It makes colors glide on smoothly, but in my artwork, I personally don't really love that. Of course, the perfect in between is the cold press paper, which I also love. It's got like the perfect, the in between. It's got the best of both worlds. It's got a little bit of texture, and it still glides on the colors really nicely and smoothly. But I've come to realize that I always tend to lean towards rough press paper when I am at the shop. And of course, I'll link down there the paper pads that I always get from Daler and Rowney. So here, as you can see, I started removing all of the masking fluid since I'd laid down pretty much all of the watercolory bits in the painting. And another good thing about this masking fluid is that on the tip, it comes with like this rubbery end top bit that you can use to rub off the masking fluid, and as you can see, there was literally no like pulling of the paper. There was no ripping up of the paper. It was smooth, flawless, excellent. Love it. 10 out of 10. And then I normally like to go in after using my watercolors with the fine tip details, and this is like the one of the best parts of the watercolor process, because it's when everything starts coming together, which I know is a counter argument to everything I've been saying so far, but I really, really enjoy this part because I can still appreciate the fine details of the painting after going through the whole process of the watercolors. In this particular painting, I went in with like gold ink to the leaves just because I wanted a little pop of sheen to the painting, and from this angle the camera didn't pick up the gold, but it will in a sec. In other angles you will see. It's a really beautiful Winsor & Newton gold ink that I've had for ages. It's coming to an end now, but it's a beautiful color. I like to go in with a black pencil at the end to really add those like really intense blacks to the painting. I really don't like using black watercolor just because I don't like how like dirty it looks for some reason. Like when you get from the tube and from like pan black watercolors, ever since I was in high school, I was taught not to use it, and I kind of understand why, because it just kind of gives off like a dirt vibe, and I personally am not a dirt person, not a dirt vibe in my paintings. So even if I do want to use black, I will try to make my own from like other colors in the palette. I'll normally add the blacks in with a pencil at the end, as well as little tiny highlights like in the eyes and stuff with a white gel pen. I also, of course, went overboard and started adding gold everywhere in her hair, etc., etc. I just kind of went a little bit crazy. I always go a little bit extra in this phase. I sometimes take out my acrylic paints and just dab on like acrylic white paint here and there to like those spots that I want like a really intense reflection of light on, like the tip of her nose and a little reflection on her lips. I just really always love that pop of white to make things stand out. And yeah, that was pretty much it for my rant today about watercolors. That's just some of the things that I've learned to love about watercolors over the years. I hope you enjoyed watching the process. I still kept going in with details and details and details of the black pencil and the white gel pen. And of course, couldn't forget to give you guys a little peel moment at the end. Even though there aren't clean cut edges, I still really thought you'd enjoy the peeling of the tape, and also of course give you a little showcase of the gold in these cute little angles with the light from outside. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what are your favorite things about watercolors, and if you personally aren't a watercolor person, what's your favorite medium, and let me know why. yeah, I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope everyone's staying safe and at home. I hope you're all just staying sane, and yeah, I hope you're okay. Keep being creative, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.